A big hand for Daz.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Get situated here, move from one plot to the next. All right, well, welcome, Daz. Thank you. Is this on? Yes? Okay. Well, first of all, how are you? Where did you come in from?
I came in from Miami, so I'm enjoying these cool evenings. It's a bit of a respite, but it's great to be here and looking forward to sharing some of the things that we've been working on over the last couple of years.
Well, we are glad to have you. Now, before we get started, I know you wanted to see, and I actually need to get the clicker, wanted to see a video. So let's get that going. All right. I have too many things. All right, first the video. I actually would like most of the things in that. So.
And just a little apology for the men in here, because there's a few of us. There is a men's version as well. So drop me an email, I'll send you a copy.
Okay, weren't you wearing some of that last night?
I might have been.
Well, obviously this is for the spring that you're launching, but let's backtrack a little bit and talk about what you are doing, what you have been doing to get you to this point.
Yeah, I think over the last couple of years, everyone went through similar realities of what I call the dark days of the pandemic, when we closed stores and we had to reevaluate some of the ways we went about business. And our whole strategy is very customer focused. So we quickly pivoted into how do we engage with customers whilst our stores are closed. And we adapted some of our technology and released a sales tool for our 4,500 style advisors whereby they could actually sell from their mobile phones at home and engage with their customers through digital means, but they had access to the inventory, they had access to the data, to the customer profiles, which enabled us to have 4,500 stores spread across the country. So that certainly helped, but through that, there's been a lot of additional learnings around the shift in customer behaviour and what they expect from a retailer that we've started to tune into. And if there's one big thing that I've learned is the importance of heightened relevance to customers. We often talk about personalisation, but to what end? And to me, that's about creating that relevance and bringing relevance to the aspiration and inspiration of fashion is what we're really trying to do from a brand perspective so that the customer connects with us in different ways. Because as a retailer, we work with some of the biggest brands in the world. You know, we will never outbrand Chanel, but I need Chanel to help us. So how do you do that, and how do we play a role in that relationship with those big brands? And how do we ensure our customers are connected to the value we add? And that's where that relevance really, really has to come in. We have to be meaningful and serve a purpose for our customers.
Well, in terms of that, I mean, obviously, you're needing to connect and you're wanting to find that relevance. And that's something that you've learned as I know we spoke earlier, and you really wanted to kind of figure out who you are now and let your customers know that. So how are you doing that in terms of, you know, people can see online, they can go into your store, but how are you connecting that whole omni-channel world and getting that message through to your customers?
And there's a couple of dimensions to that. One is, you know, rather than thinking about a media channel system, we think about a customer ecosystem and how we can not only integrate our messaging, but create experiences that mix across for the customer. I often talk about how our customers shop and how we connect that journey. Like if, as a guy, I know what brand shirt I like, I know what size I am. I can literally just go online, buy a shirt, done, delivered in 2 days, great. If I'm buying a new blazer, I might want a little bit of advice. I might want someone to say, yeah, that'll go great with those jeans you bought last week. So I might want to chat with someone. Now I can do that online. I can do that through live chat. I can do that through a virtual phone call and get feedback from a style advisor. And then I might want to go out for a special event and I need a new suit. Well, I'm going to get that tailored. So I've got to go to the store and then I'm going to interact and then I'm going to look for other things and there's going to be other inspiration. Same customer, 3 different needs, 3 different ways to shop. They should all be connected. And so the ecosystem we're building out is truly to enable our teams and the customers to interact and have the levels of control they want in the way they want it. And then I overlay that with content that's relevant to customers to inspire the interaction or the desire or the passion for something particularly that's new or emerging. And we do it through all channels. And what you're looking at now is one of our historic channels, which are big 142-page catalogues that we still do 3 times a year. And so this one's, you're looking at the spring covers, which don't come out for about 3 weeks. It's still at the printers, so you're getting a very good sneak preview of what happens over the next month. But they're a big, iconic development, but using data, we literally hand-pick the 331,000 customers that will actually get the book. And then there's always a few that ring us up and say, why didn't I get a book? So we save a few and send them out as well. But it's such a heritage thing. It's old school media, but it's data driven. And then I can track the engagement and the sales on the back of it.
Well, even getting to that, I mean, obviously, and then I know your book, the holiday book, had gone away for, obviously, when COVID really was hit, but this past holiday season, it came out again. First, I have to say, I love, tell me if this is true, I read that when they were saying, because they were asking what the wish list would be, and you said your socks that you got from your wife or something like that. You have all these, $50,000 items, and you want your wish list to be these socks your wife gave you?
Yeah, that was part of our holiday launch, and it was an interview I did with Vogue, and literally Vogue announced that because we launched our campaign that Christmas started, which is a pretty good sort of representation from a top fashion magazine. But yeah, it was one of those things. Style isn't about just buying the hottest, latest brand. It's about being yourself, and it's about connecting with who you want to be in your journey and your story as a person. And for me, for that Christmas, there was a pair of socks I particularly wanted, and so whether it was Vogue or any other publication, to me, it's just who I am, and that's what mattered to me at the time. And I wanted to get across that fashion is an individual thing. Style is yours. And our role is to support you in your journey of style.
Well, I just thought that was great. But also it goes to, in terms of your target audience. And, as we're talking about, you really are embracing your luxury roots. You have that particular clientele. And how are you... I know you have invested in a lot of tools, Stylize for one. Is that where you've placed most of your investment? Is that where you're really relying on the most? Or what else are you doing to connect with that target audience? And are you doing it differently for, as you mentioned, there weren't anything for men here, but men, women, is there an age barrier? What are you looking at?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and a lot of people will say to me that Neiman Marcus needs to get younger, and I actually don't have a target audience, believe it or not. We actually work very closely with our data team. We obviously have some segmentation and cohort structures, and we have some profiles. And we use our first-party data wherever we can in terms of reaching our customers. But I'm looking at profiles and behaviour patterns and understanding the consumer environment and connecting those things. So it's not one audience, but what I can say is an interesting thing about Neiman Marcus is our true loyal customers are as progressive and fashion orientated as the 25-year-old customer. Because fashion is built on change. It's built on creating something new, some new aspiration. and they truly connect with that. And so if there's an idea around aging down or going younger as a brand, I think of it about as just getting more relevant, just being more in touch with the moments in people's lives today. And I think that's how we think about it. And from an investment point of view, as you bring up Stylize, this is some screen grabs from an app that we're in testing mode for that has literally been built for a small select group of customers. And it plays into our approach around personalisation, which is to think about not just sending content that's personal, but creating environments where I can participate as a customer. And as I said, style being an individual thing and part of this app, and you can see on the left side that style section, it's literally a tool that's a combination of a AI-driven recommendation engine that you can interact with. So it picks up what's already in your closet, generates a series of cards that are recommendations through our Stylize system, but you can change the cards. So you can create your own little lookbook and you can interact with it, and then you can literally send it straight through to your style advisor to go and buy. So to me, it's super personal, but it's not relying solely on the AI to drive the reco. It's using what you already have. It's also using you. And generally, we know ourselves pretty well. So that's where we're investing a lot of time and effort and capital to bring that to life. But you can see in this simple app, the other dimensions are inspire, which is again, that content-driven inspiration. It's micro content, it's personalized, it's fresh, it changes every day. The serve is really about creating interaction between store and store teams and the individual, and then connect as the communication hub inside the app. So quite simply, you can engage with our style team, you can do it yourself, you can have a play, you can interact with them, and you can get inspired on a daily feed as well.
Well, now, is this also, because as you said, people can interact then with the salespeople. Are they fully trained with all of these new tools and knowing how to respond? I mean, how much effort or how much work needed to go into all of that to keep it that seamless experience?
Yeah, that is a challenge. I don't think with a 4,500 people style advisor network you can ever think that you've trained everyone. There's always going to be some laggards, but it's an ongoing evolution. And some of our style advisors have really embraced it, and others are still getting used to it. But what we're doing is we're connecting their platform. The Connect system is the sort of complementary version of the app, and there's interfaces that cross over so that they've got a seamless world from a style advisor perspective as well as a customer. And we continually evolve, but our style advisors now have, we have a big collection of digital ones that actually don't work in the store on the floor. They do everything virtually. But in store, as you could see if you went up to our Fashion Island store, we have an environment where they can actually produce virtual content or host clients in a sales experience or a style experience in store. And we connect them by supporting them with marketing campaigns, marketing content, marketing assets. So they're the local marketing machine. So they are our marketers in that location that connect with their customers virtually through content, through Instagram and all their channels. So that's how we do local marketing. My corporate team doesn't do it. We actually help our style advisor teams do our local marketing for us.
Well, and that's what I was going to get into, because I know you have a fully integrated marketing strategy. You mentioned some of the channels. What other channels are you using, and what are you finding working the best for you? What will you be leaning into moving forward?
Yeah, we've been doing some really interesting testing with connected TV and video. I think our friends from Mountain are here. Probably go back to the other one. But yeah, we've been using Mountain, and we've been using a few other platforms to leverage the power of video. And the little video you just saw then is just one of our collection for spring. That's sort of what I would call our fashion hero. We have a service and customer hero video that we'll have, but we produce about 500 videos for a season. Not all of them are distributed through all channels. Some are just purely social, some are purely online. But we've been testing into video a lot more across different platforms. Last year, as part of our holiday campaign, we tested music. We produced our own version of the 1920s track It Had to Be You as a part of a video campaign. We released our own version of it. We started doing some work on Spotify, so we're testing things there. We're testing different audience profiles and data mixes on different platforms. So we've probably got about 30 or 40 different test and learn tracks at any point in time across different parts of our marketing ecosystem.
What about your KPIs? I mean, how are you measuring success? And has that changed as you've been, once you figured out, okay, where we were, now where we are, what happened in terms of what you were looking for?
Yeah, because of our customer profile, we really focus on our customer, what we call our customer algorithm, as our goals for marketing and for our business. And so, unlike a lot of retail businesses, we're not a high acquisition, high churn business. Literally, the top decile of our customer file represents over 40% of our business. And then within that, there's the top 1% that represents, I think, about 15% of our business. So that group of customers is a really important cohort which is loyal to us. Then we have what we call our transient or emerging group, which is where we are in a battleground with our competitors, and then we have net new customers. And so we have our goals against those, and it can be a combination of spend and frequency, classic customer goals. And then the way we think about it is then we select our marketing strategies and we put performance and optimization KPIs against those that drive and align to the incremental improvement against the 4 key goals. And for us, coming through the changes of the last 2 years, getting that structure and consistency and tying our data systems to be able to measure the optimization for impact against those 4 goals has been a journey, and it's really unlocked our ability to be effective in test and learn models, because we know where we want to go. We can put a test in place. Does it give us the incremental lift? Can we get the statistical stability that we want to see that channel work, and then keep working it harder and optimize against it?
So it sounds like it's definitely still something ongoing, work in progress, which I think is pretty par for the course these days. I'm curious, though, you mentioned, you have your competition, and now even more so, we have a lot more online competition, brands like Rent the Runway. How are you, not just competing, but how are you differentiating yourself with this slew of competition that is basically saying they can do what you do?
Yeah, well, I think a big part of our differentiation comes through our people and being a customer-focused and people-driven company. And I think that our people bring a couple of dimensions that are really powerful in the fashion category. One's curation. Now, we believe in a luxury world where curation is way more important than having an endless aisle world, because you can be bewildered by choice, you can get lost in choice, but at the same time, if you have taste and style, you're going to appreciate curation. So our merchandise team at that end, I think, makes a big difference. So what partners we work with, what brands, and even down to what pair of shoes we pick to sell matters a lot in competitive stance. And then there's the other end of that spectrum, which is our style advisors that can help you make the choices and build that trust with you that you can't get. And we truly believe that our culture, our spirit, and our history is one of building amazing trust as a brand with discerning taste that can make recommendations for our customers. And I think that's what they value. And you can't replace that in a pure e-com system. You can get more efficiency, you can get a wider selection. There's lots of things you can do in an e-com environment, but putting people and e-com together is a way better solution.
Yeah, and this new revamping, reintroducing yourself, it's been a couple of years now. What are you finding? What's the data telling you? What's working for your customers?
What we've probably the biggest learning we've had is just happening right now, which is, as someone talked about earlier, is people getting back together again. We've always had retail theatre and wonderful experiences for our customers, but I was hosting an event on Saturday, and it was like a reunion for people. It was like wow, we actually get to hang out together again, or you get to meet new people, which we've all been deprived of that inspiration of the new meetings, the happenstance of life. And so I think one of our big learnings is how powerful they are right now. And honestly, we've had to pivot. We went virtual like everyone else, and then, you know, trust me, I live in Miami, so Miami's been doing parties for a long time. And our office is in Texas, just like Miami, but without beaches. So, you know, and wanting to really sort of build our business on the West Coast, we've had to adapt. So we've been running events in Miami, but can't do it in LA, and so we've had to change things around. But as we started to learn the value of that interaction and experience, we've really leaned into it. And, you know, one of the earlier slides you might have seen that was all pink was an amazing event we did with Balmain and Barbie in Dallas that generated millions and millions and millions of impressions because it was so connected to the cultural moment of Barbie. And, you know, little things like this have a big impact. That was one store, one event. We sold out of every piece of inventory. We had to stop the customers taking it off the mannequins. It was like, no, don't. We'll get you another one. You know, our social coverage of this event was phenomenal. Even Mattel was kind enough to, Barbie didn't come to Dallas, she went shopping in Beverly Hills, go figure. But you can see the picture of Barbie down there. She did come to our Beverly Hills store to go shopping, and they actually custom made her a little Neiman Marcus shopping bag, which was really kind of them. But those interactions, customers are dying for this exclusivity and newness. They want that freshness because, as I said, we've been deprived of so much. So doing things like that, last Friday we did an event with Tyler, the creator, in Beverly Hills, which will go on the road now. We've done some amazing events with jewelry recently, and people are just starved for that connection. And as a brand that's about people, it's really important to us to bring that back to them and give them that sense of connection to the designers and to the product and to each other.
Yeah, now people are also buying pants again, so they need them. Well, we're going to open it up for questions for Daz, but before I do, I just want to ask you whether it be this past year, maybe something that didn't go so well or something that you really learned from. What were you most excited about and that you can't wait to continue doing and moving forward?
I don't know that, we've been through, like everyone else, a lot of learnings, and it was so fast. I think if you guys feel like I do, it's like you learn something new every other day. And we have a very aggressive test and learn approach, so we're always trying things. A few things that we felt we could have got better. We did some, as I said, we have these style advisor relationships, and some of our customer engagement to connect people together, it took some learning, because we think about it as a relationship, and if you think about a relationship, you've got to meet someone before you go on your first date, and then if the first date goes well, then you might go shopping together, and then it continues. So we learned in trying to support those relationships a lot over time, just through feedback and questionnaires and behaviour patterns, to really understand that journey a lot more. So what I'm looking forward to is the expansion of that interaction, where I would love every customer to have a person at Neiman Marcus that they felt was their trusted advisor. And I think at our scale with 37 stores, I think that's viable. I know how many customers we have, but if you start to engage more than once or twice, I want to connect you with somebody, because I know that relationship will grow and develop, and you will get so much more value out of it. Because our style advisors literally don't just sell, they help you be more of who you are. And I think that's something that we could all appreciate.
Great. So now let's see, do we have any questions for Daz?
If any of you have any questions throughout the next 3 days, please raise your hand. I'll get the mic to you, and let us know who you are and who you're with, so we get to know you.
I actually do have one more question, if I can keep it. You said something that triggered it. You're talking about, you've been saying how all these different events you've been doing, and people are starving for them now. But hopefully this will be a norm and we won't necessarily be starving for them, do you still think they play a huge role in terms of connecting with customers?
100%. I think retail theatre is now as important as ever because we can access digital, the metaverse, so easily. So there's a lot of theatre in our worlds. So I think to maintain that connection with customers, we have to do that in physical environments and interactive environments as much as we do online. So I think they'll continue to play a big role in our world, probably even more so because we've changed our behaviours. And we know my customer file is such that if you shop both online and in store with us, you're 4.5 times more valuable to me. If you start online and go in store, you'll end up actually having a higher AOV generally with us. And if it's the other way around, you start in store and you shop online, frequency goes up. Pretty obvious metrics, but they're incredibly valuable because, as I said, our journeys are different for different needs now, and customers have become adept at choosing the journey to suit. So I think bringing the theatre, the experience and the storytelling into stores is going to be as important as ever.
Hi, Dex. Question for you, Jeff Alderman from Ad Media. Love your comments, especially around the big book catalog and really tying that to digital as well. I think the convergence of direct mail to digital is kind of coming back full circle as well. So, so you're pretty tight with mailing that to as well. Just kind of curious if you've done, other than the big book, other kind of shapes or sizes of catalogs as well to other customers to try to connect the new customer acquisition piece from, again, direct mail to digital, and any thoughts or learnings there you can share?
Yeah, we do have a couple of other programs. We historically had a huge catalogue business that we got out of during the pandemic, partly because I couldn't print anything. I couldn't take photos either. I had to furlough my entire photographic and team and things like that, so we couldn't produce them. So whilst they were gone, I sort of closed the book, excuse the pun, on our catalogue business. But what we do have is a few other key items. We do 2 key events for jewellery every year, and that goes to a certain set of customers, and we use that very specifically, again, very targeted. And then I use some print as a disruptive technique. So literally just dropping ourselves into people's letterboxes for a specific purpose to a segment that I know will respond. So that could be a gift card offer, so it's generally a little more promotional, or it'll be to our loyalty program members to offer them a different option, extra points or something like that. So we use tactical direct mail, sort of postcard-like things. It's just a little reminder to get into that other channel because people still go to the mailbox, believe it or not.
Daz, one last question about demographics. How are you addressing younger demographics with this brand? Are you trying to redefine it? Are you trying to define luxury or think about luxury differently for the under 30 crowd that may not be that familiar with Neiman Marcus?
Yeah, familiarity is the barrier we have to overcome with younger people, that's for sure. Although we have an incredible generational impact. The number of customers we have and people I talk to that, my mum shopped at Neiman's, my grandma shopped at Neiman's, it's always been a part of our life. Or, I've always gone to see Santa at Neiman's and things like that. So there's some latent awareness, but is it for them is the change. So that's part of the strategy of relevance. And I think we're cutting in there. I can tell you over the last 12 months, and we're about to go into a real sort of brand refresh stage. I've changed a lot in the last year and a half, and we sort of haven't quite got to where we need to yet. But the things that we're doing and the way we do them, we're going to be a little bit more edgy, I think, because we can afford to. And I think that will, as long as we stay relevant to that developing luxury customer, we'll be right. But let's face it, we have high-end products. We're not going to be right for everyone.
Lisa, you want to do one more? Yes. Want to do one more?
Yeah. This is actually building on Steve's question, but Andrew Eklund from Cicerone. By the way, I had 2 cream cheese stuffed churros last night, so I need a new pant stylist this morning.
I'll hook you up.
Okay, thanks. Building on that question, I'm wondering what is the tether between your style advisors and what is clearly the front lines of fashion advice, which is through social influencers and so forth. Do you have a relationship between your style advisor staff and that community of influencers, or is there some other tether between the brand and that community?
It's a great question, and it's a bit of a mix. Some of our style advisors are fashion influencers, and they also support and learn from each other. So we have some that are in our world. We have some partnerships, and what we do is we connect with the content so that our style advisors are engaged with the content. And then we also have our own fashion office, which is actually on the front edge of all of the trend and fashion. And they're like fashion influencers with a business brain, is the way I think about it, where they're not just looking at what's on trend, they're looking at what's on trend that our customer's going to purchase and what's going to give us scale. So we actually have a marketing matrix I use with our fashion office, which is the Make Us Rich and Make Us Famous grid. And we actually map all of our core brands and categories against customer profiles, brand performance for whether we're going to get rich or famous, and we try and literally connect everyone around the rich and famous things. So it's sort of like a mixed ecosystem of interconnectivity, but we feed all of our style advisors tons and tons and tons of content from our fashion office all the time.
Okay, well, great. And Daz, that was awesome. Give Daz a round of applause.